gentlemen. Welcome back to the luxurious Brook Street Resort, Love Letter Central. We've said goodbye to Wordsworth. There are only 7 of you left to woo Roxanne. Sitting beside me is a mailbox Roxanne will use to leave messages and hints about what your next lesson and task will be. Let's see what she has in store for us. The course of true love never did run smooth. That's from A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare. That's a play that we think about as being farcical or a ruse of some sort, but it's really also about betrayal and heartbreak. So I'd like you to keep that in mind for your next lesson. I'm sure you're all curious about what that is, so follow me. I'd like to introduce Sean Elizabeth and her accompanist, Alan Thomas, who clearly knows something of the lost love, heartache, and betrayal. And today, with her help and guidance, you two are going to be able to tap into some of that intensity.
The human voice is inseparable from the person who is producing the sound. It's unique to its owner. You can't change it, really. So to my mind, nothing surpasses opera as a vehicle for communicating passion to the listener. I think at this moment it would be a really good idea if we did a little bit of a vocal test. And that would be a good way to know whether or not you would be delivering your creations to the lady, speaking, or possibly try singing it. So could we start with Tennyson, and would you come forward and... There you go. Good for you.
Break away.
Oh, hi.
Tone deaf Tennyson.
Are you? Okay, well, 2 T's. Perhaps we could start with a low A. And if you can just go, ah, for me.
Do it again.
Ah. Do you know O Canada?
Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada.
Very nice. Right, how about up the octave? Sing opera. So give us a note, please, maestro. Ah. 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 Wow, you sing higher than me. Well, you can serenade me anytime, okay? All right?
Now that you've learned about the passion and tragedy of opera, you should be inspired for your next task. I'd like you to think back to your last relationship, or ones before that, when your own heart was broken. Your task is to write an aria about that experience. You have 30 minutes, and some advice from me if you require it, but you can take your seats. Good luck, gentlemen.
Can I name it?
Can you name the area? Absolutely.
It's going to be called the Golden Bricks of Love.
I see. Bricks that will not be hurled at anyone, one would hope.
No, but they fall at some point.
I see. All right. Imagery is good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to sign your name so she knows who to attribute the fabulous work to.
I gotta learn not to use this paper because I kept it all scrunched into the bottom corner.
And it does have a very happy sun on it.
Yeah, but a Saturn moon, so it works for this task.
Go. Very suggestive.
You think so?
Yes.
Suggestive of what?
Well, it seems to convey to me that it's not just Roxanne who is mysterious at this point, but there's a certain mystery you're that you're holding back as well. You're wanting to be mysterious. Is that your intention?
No.
And time's up, gentlemen. Please follow me.
Hi, my name is Hemingway. This is simply called For Roxanne. Drive me across the city, where I go's a mystery, anxious about the next task, have to learn to think fast. On a floor below me is a lady who's intriguing. Shall I be so bold to mention my heart's every intention? And my name's Hemingway. Yeah.
I went to the house that frightful, awful day. No preparation for what she had to say.
Hi, it's Tennyson, more with a dramatic reading because I was instructed not to sing by the opera instructor. The guys should be laughing. The tribulations of past love, we all have them. I miss the effort and the commitment involved in a relationship.
Oops, it happened again. She tore up my heart, making me consider declaring celibacy. Blast! I thought this time it would be true. Why couldn't I see the clues? But I stood up at the end, brushed myself off, swore that I would be strong and try my hand at love again. A day I will never forget. Fallen under the stove was my last cookie. Then I saw her in the park, me clinging to hope on a swing, her skipping in joy, a bell went ding. But as the cookie crumbled, I knew it could not happen then. Woe of my life, as I was 8, and she, my angel, 10.
This pen is my voice, and this paper my song. I know it's not great, but faithfully drawn. A chance to touch you with only my words, to hear me, to see me. I think you'd like me too.
Are you ready to perform your aria?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
This song is it's called The Golden Bricks of Love, and it's to Roxanne. When I first met her, I thought her love was diamonds, but it turned out to be just gold. Our bricks were raised high in a building for others to see and be found. But one day the scaffolding broke and the solid bricks of love fell like a golden shower to the ground. That's The Golden Bricks of Love by Keats.
The Suitors each had a lesson from an opera singer today, and they went through the scales and they practiced, and then they learned the components of an aria.
Hemingway, his was called For Roxanne, and I have to say this is wow, I was really just shocked by his beautiful voice.
At least I have that confidence to know that I can sing.
Do you want to go on to to some of the other Suitors?
The next one I have is Tolstoy. That one I thought was really clever, really, well written. Didn't know to the end that he was referring to an experience he had as a child.
I didn't want to be too serious about the situation. I wanted to see if I could take something that can be very passionate and apply it to a situation that someone else may deem important, but a lot of people don't pay attention to, like cookies.
What about some of the others?
All right, Byron. This one I thought was probably the most vulnerable in a way because he's talking about a really difficult breakup, I assume, that he had.
I'm comparing myself to the other guys. A couple of guys spoke and they were very eloquent. A couple of guys sang and they were in tune. And I don't feel that my words were eloquent or my singing was in tune or had a beat to it or anything that makes a good song.
Tennyson, this one I thought...
I've yet to pull the entertainment card.
I thought that it was brave of him to come out and talk about that and how it had made him feel.
So there's a maturity about the voice.
Yeah.
I really probably should pull the entertainment card. If I survive to tomorrow, we'll see, because we still don't know what she's about, and we were expecting Keats to go home today if she wasn't a fun person.
It was Keats, and I have to say this one just cracked me up. He came out swinging to the fences, that's for sure.
We were supposed to sing, and I was one of the only ones who actually sang, so I figured that may give me a bit of an edge. I'm not sure.
Faulkner. You know, I thought that this one it was very touching in its simplicity.
I think that at this point it makes sense just to settle into the middle of the pack, not to distinguish yourself too much, and I think that that's where I'm at right now.
And my friend T.S.
When you're asked to do something which is extremely serious and emotional and gut-wrenching from deep within you about your last breakup, I do try to wrap it up and instill a little bit of laughter because I find that's very therapeutic. So that's sort of, I guess, what I sort of expressed today in my song.
So do you have a sense now? Are you leaning toward one over another for the reward?
I am. There you go.
Gentlemen, Roxanne has made her decision, holding in my hand an envelope with a card from Roxanne to the winner of the second task reward. That prize, as you know, is a meeting with her during which you may ask her one question. And the winner is Hemingway. Congratulations.
Dear Hemingway, you have a beautiful singing voice. It puts me in mind of one of my favorite singers, Damien Rice, Roxanne.
Hemingway, you may now ask a single question.
Hi, Roxanne. I'm not too much of a reader, but one of my favorite books is Walden by Thoreau. And I was wondering what your favorite book is and why.
Wow. My favorite book. Wow. You've really stumped me on this one, I have to tell you, Hemingway. I'm going to go with The Color Purple. I think it's just a very powerful story, very tragic in a lot of ways, but beautifully written and expressive.
Thank you.
Okay, come with me.
When you know you only have one question to ask, obviously you have to ask the question that's going to give you the most information, and also the one that's going to make you look good too. I mean, there might be other questions that you might want to ask, but you know, they might not be as tactful.
That question was so hard. You know, you think that you know yourself really well, but then somebody asks you a preference, and it's so hard to narrow it down for me. I read all the time. I have a very well-worn library card, and you know, it's tough.
The earlier rewards, I think, are a much greater advantage than the later, because you have that much more time to build up some kind of rapport, to refer to what you might have learned.
I was actually really sort of sitting here taken aback because I thought, oh, an intellectual. Like, that was, you know, to hear that he reads Thoreau. It's not exactly light bedtime reading, and I was really impressed with that.
The French call it un billet doux. The Italians, una lettera amorosa. The Germans say Liebesbrief, but whatever the language, the meaning is the same. Love letters express our most heartfelt emotions.
She's one of England's most acclaimed female poets. Elizabeth Barrett Browning is renowned as much for her writing as for her love affair with poet Robert Browning. But she was burdened with health problems and a domineering father. By the age of 39, Elizabeth had resigned herself to living the life of a recluse. And then, one day, she received an unexpected letter. Robert Browning had never met Elizabeth in person, but after he read her poetry, he was so moved he felt compelled to write. Robert's letter began with one of the most romantic introductions in the history of love letters.
I love your verses with all my heart, dear Miss Barrett. Since the day last week when I first read your poems, I quite laugh to remember how I have been turning and turning again in my mind what I should be able to tell you of their effect upon me. I do, as I say, love these books with all my heart, and I love you too.
Elizabeth replied the very next day.
I thank you, dear Mr. Browning, from the bottom of my heart. Such a letter from such a hand. Sympathy is dear, very dear to me. I will say that I'm your debtor, not only for this cordial letter and for all the pleasure which came with it, but in other ways, and those the highest.
Robert arranged a meeting with Elizabeth, and after a year-long secret courtship, they eloped to Italy. Elizabeth's marriage to Robert inspired her best work, including one of the most famous poems in the history of the English language. It begins with the unforgettable line, "How do I love thee? Let me count the ways." Here are some do's and don'ts for that all-important first letter. Do introduce yourself respectfully, but with style. Do explain why you're writing, and be sincere. Do suggest a meeting to prompt a reply. And don't overwhelm with overly emotional declarations, despite the intensity of your feelings, unless your name is Robert Browning. And if it doesn't work out, don't despair. You're in good company, for you've joined the ranks of writers, artists, kings, and queens who've come before you. And besides, practice makes perfect. Gentlemen, it's time for the final note. You'll have 5 minutes to write a note to Roxanne, convincing her of your worthiness for staying on for round 3. She'll read them and write a Dear John letter to one of you. Whoever's chosen must leave the Brook Street Resort immediately. You're on your own for this one, so good luck. Take your seats.
Roxanne, if beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I can only use imagination to create your image. In that sense, meeting you, or not, lies in the perception, or synthesis, of reality in my mind.
I hope you enjoyed the performances yesterday. I'm sure you did. It was exciting being so near you.
Okay, so the reasons why I should stay. Number 1, I sang really, really loud and full of passion. And number 5, laughing is fun and cool. And I drew a frog on the lily pad there.
So I'm feeling very happy that I was able to give you fair warning of my atrocious poetry skills. I do hope you won't hold this against me and allow me to continue in my attempts to court you.
I have not lived up to my own expectations, and nor have I distinguished myself from the others. But I would like to ask you to keep me around just a little longer.
Best wishes for the next day. I'm looking forward to entertaining you a bit more, but of course sharing a bit more about me. Oh boy, my grammar's terrible.
I look forward to getting to know you better, Roxanne. Oh no, time's up, Hemingway.
Roxanne, oh no, time's up, Hemingway.
They have to put quite a lot of information into 5 minutes worth of writing, so they're pithy.
Yeah.
How did he make you feel, considering that you'd heard his song and then his question?
I have to say that this one made my heart skip a beat a little bit. Yeah, just having heard his voice earlier and then reading this, not to play favorites, but there it is.
It's better to reward than reject, but I guess you have to make a decision and write a Dear John letter, as hard as it is.
Oh, I don't feel good about that at all. This one was the hardest one so far, I think, because I feel like they all put themselves out there with the aria, and it was really brave and great. And so to send one of them home after that is it's not an easy task.
I know it's a difficult part of this selection process, but I will deliver it. Your wish is my command. Thank you. Gentlemen, behind you are 7 mailboxes. 6 of them contain letters from Roxanne inviting you to continue courting her. 1 contains a Dear John letter. You now turn around and retrieve your letters. Open your envelopes, please. Would Dear John please step forward?
Oh, Guy.
Unfortunately, it's time for you to leave the resort. We've enjoyed having you. Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed being here. Facebookers.
Dear John, I want to thank you for your amazing performance of the aria. You really made me laugh, and I think you have a wonderful sense of humor. I hope you will understand that knowing myself, I have to say goodbye to you at this point. No hard feelings, I hope. Roxanne.
She mentioned about the sense of humor. She said you have a wonderful sense of humor, but knowing me, her referring to her, she has to say goodbye. So perhaps her sense of humor was a little different than mine.
Next time on The Letters, rediscovering the art of courtship.
Much better.
What is any duel without a lady to fight for? So I'd like to introduce Roxanne.
Add a few women into the mix and things are only going to escalate.
I am starting to get a sense of who it might be.